See, I think I may want a tattoo like this. See, this is how tattoos are made, with charcoal and thorns in the Philippines. Let's check it out.
Tattoo.
Like, you gotta stay still, because one jump, one movement, I mean, that's with any tattoo really, but especially with this one, like, one mess up and you could be off-centered, or it may not be in a straight line, or how she's tapping it. No.
The only design Van Gogh still makes. So how did a centenarian woman save this art form? And can it survive without her? Van Gogh's village of Buscalan sits over 3,300 feet above sea level, and the only way of getting here is on foot. Van Gogh finds everything she needs to make her tattoos in her backyard. Sharp green thorns from pomelo and lemon trees will become her needles. She inserts the thorns into a bamboo stick to make the tapping tool called a gisi. To make the...
You know what that reminds me of? Like, I got my ears pierced, right? And when I got my ears pierced, the first time I got it done in like Claire's, but that was only one ear. When I got the second one done, my grandma did it. And she did it with the old school needle, numb you up with some ice, burn the needle, and come right through that bad boy. That's what that made me think of right there. Bro, I had flashbacks.
The ink, she scrapes the fine soot from a burnt pot and mixes it with water until it thickens. Van Gogh got her first tattoo when she was a teenager, almost a century ago. She's lost count of how many she has. Van Gogh does all her tattooing on the porch area outside her home. Each client brings their own gisi from local sellers. She dips a small twig in the ink and marks the design. With the gisi, she pierces the black ink into the skin, leaving behind a permanent mark. For elders of the Kalinga tribe, these tattoos are one of the most important possessions. They believe the markings are the only way for them to be recognised by their ancestors in the afterlife. Batok tattooing was once mainly practiced by men. But Van Gogh's father encouraged her to defy the tradition and learn the skill. For centuries, Batok tattoos were an essential part of society for tribes in the Cordillera region. Girls got their first as early as 13 to show they were ready for marriage. Many men earned their tattoos for headhunting, like modern-day military medals. The tribes believed they could bring luck to their people by beheading their enemies during battle. For each kill, headhunters would earn chest tattoos for their bravery. The tribe managed to survive centuries of colonization by Spain. But when the US took control of the country in 1898, headhunting was outlawed and the appeal of Batok tattoos waned. Christian missionaries considered the tattoos taboo, and tribespeople were told to cover them.
The Philippines is the only Christian nation in the Far East.
By the time the Philippines gained independence in 1946, many old indigenous practices had disappeared.
High schools, grade schools, everything taught in English.
Most Kalinga people worked in agriculture to make a living. Van Gogh laboured in the rice fields for decades too, but continued practicing tattooing on the side.
may kakamul siya, mampati-pati saad, purasan saad, laid. At siya kuchibakus.
In 2009, Van Gogh was featured in the Discovery Channel series Tattoo Hunter. And in 2023, even graced the cover of Vogue Philippines.
Did I miss it? Did it say how much she charges to do this now? Because come on, man, after being on all those magazines and I have all these stories written up about you and being well known for this, and you're pretty much one of a few people who could do this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, her price is up there. Gotta be.
Saan, nakuhinig ka ito, nalagay nga na, kakuhinig ka rin, nigon ka ikipitsura na, nalagay nga,
And Van Gogh went from a local tattooist to a national treasure. The global attention brought tourists to Buscalan.
See?
People travel 15 hours from the capital city Manila to get to her house.
Katamuti pasikat yung kahit kayo. Kadumit mo lang ko. Makawa si kayo. Hindi ako dito. Abi mo kayo aja daro.
Van Gogh can tattoo up to 120 clients in a single weekend.
Sa di karubaw ka sa karubaw ka. Ara ason akay. Taman sikap na iba. Ara eba. Nagloko na kahit tan ipapilit siyan. Nakikubit mo kaya yung so, kubit na sana tako niya.
Yeah, she making money.
One by one, tourists sit on her porch, get their tattoos, and take pictures with her.
Thank you so much.
She's a celebrity here, so they are willing to wait for hours.
Wow.
And endure the pain.
Mansikap ang mga siya at siya ba atom. Nung sa rahat at mga siya at siya ko aja. Sa dan ikikino kay aja na.
In the past, she made more elaborate designs, but her eyesight has gotten worse over the years. So nowadays, the 3 dots is Van Gogh's signature tattoo. They represent her and her 2 grandnieces, who are her apprentices, Elyang and Grace. Van Gogh leaves the more complex designs to them. A tattoo can cost between $5 and $40. Today, Grace is doing an arrow and fern design on a young Filipino who has been coming here since 2015. Peter Capocao has 9 batok tattoos made by Van Gogh and other artists in Buscalan.
It's really important.
I hate to say it, but she could charge way more. Was anybody else thinking that? She could charge way upwards into hundreds, if not thousands, because who she is. Like, she could be charging $1,000 for those tattoos easily, even though they're small.
Important that Filipino can actually embrace this culture because it's ours.
And for him, the pain is worth it.
I think I need some Coca-Cola.
Nowadays, Van Gogh rarely gets new tattoos, but she made an exception in 2007 for a Filipino-American tattoo artist who travelled here from LA. El Festin brought his own replica tools he built with guava wood.
I told her about the tools, and that's when she smiled and just gave me a tap on the shoulder, and she pointed at a tool, and then the translator was saying like, oh, I think she wants to get tattooed. And at first I was hesitant because I didn't want it to look like cultural appropriation or stolen valor.
Elle says Van Gogh chose a tattoo pattern she saw on his arm.
This is her favorite pattern. This in many different villages, it means different things, but to her it means the snake. It was like poetry. Poetry on skin, you know? Like everything, our connection, our bridge. It just gave me like the tap on the shoulder, like good job, like a pat on the shoulder.
Elle has been running his own shop specialising in tribal tattoos in Stanton, California since 2011.
What's up, Rona?
He moved here from the Philippines when he was 9 years old. He spent 2 decades studying the motifs and artifacts of Filipino indigenous tribes, including the Kalinga.
Coming over here as an immigrant, we have to assimilate, and then we have to like put that in the back burner of the culture.
He says each pattern was used to tell a person's unique tribal story.
It's almost like a resume. If you're a weaver, there will be weaving patterns there. This lady, you could tell she's very rich because hers is very detailed and stacked together.
Can't lie, this is giving me tattoo fever. I'm sitting here thinking about tattoos. Why did I stop getting tattoos? I wanted one. Why I never decided to go follow through with it and go get it done. Like, I'm sitting here, all of that is going through my brain right now.
Today, El mostly tattoos with a modern gun, but he knows how to use dozens of traditional tools and often makes his own. He runs a 2-year apprenticeship where he teaches these methods to other artisans. Some, like Joseph Ash, work with El at the shop.
This is called the ulagatan tool, or the snake bite. It's originated from the Isnig area of the Philippines. I actually learned how to use this tool during my apprenticeship. With the amount of years I actually used this tool, I've actually gotten pretty damn quick with it.
Clients can get custom tattoos based on their ancestors' motifs.
This is going to be the start of a Visayan flower. It's just like the centerpiece, and then later the petals can go in around. So this is part of a traditional leg design.
My family is originally from Visaya, so this one is based off of what like my ancestors would traditionally get. I'm the first generation born here, so for me it felt like it's more of a like awakening, going back to like celebrating where my family came from.
In
Respect.
1998, El co-founded the Mark of the Four Waves, an organisation that helps Filipinos and other indigenous groups connect with their roots through tattoos. They host social and educational events throughout the year.
Next thing you know, there's just tidal wave of all these Filipinos really thirsty for like knowledge, and it was pretty amazing because what I was talking about, they experienced too.
The tattoos have become a symbol of self-identity to clients and to the people working in his shop.
As you grow up as a woman, Filipino woman, you're like not exactly feel the prettiest person, you know, and this helped me like kind of like accept myself more. Like look at myself more like, okay, I look awesome now, you know, like, yeah.
Because of Wangod, what was once deemed taboo is now sought after by locals and tourists in the Philippines. And a job that was traditionally reserved for men is predominantly done by women today. Another of Wangod's nieces, Eva Oge, runs her own tattoo business.
Magwato tan sigaran nangungunay awa hanap buhay husayan mabilaan napatog naman kakwato ta tan i-share ta rin nan ipailat ta sa usugaili ng traditional goy in kakwato.
And new businesses have sprung up all around the village. Today, there are over 150 artists practicing batok in Buscanon.
Wow. I would definitely go get one done. I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. And it got worse throughout the video. The more I kept seeing them done, I started seeing different ones that I would like. Looking at her arm, I would love to see the rest of hers. She got both sleeves done all the way, looks like down to her wrist, maybe even on her hand. Like, I have tattoo fever right now.
And her life has changed too.
She can buy land.
Wangod's legacy continues to live on through the next generation in Buscanon.
Tapos ano kay alam nan titua ano natapos sabi. Ukala natapos sabi. Alang kita sabi. Pakato ajo. Yung ubali ali. Yung pakato niya aja iya kaita. Abig pakatan siya. Sila jinta alasan yung kawita ko na marabho.
They will.
Nagsa aja, anong tuon sumikata. Nagsa ano.
The rapid advancement of artificial intelligence has caused some people to worry about whether their jobs will be taken by the technology. A study out this week finds those fears may be overblown, at least for now. Researchers at MIT published a report in which they found that a small amount of jobs could be done by artificial intelligence, but in the vast majority of cases, it would not make economic sense to use AI to do the work. That is not deterring some entrepreneurs and engineers from using AI in an unlikely place, the kitchen. Joy Benedict shows us a restaurant powered by robots.
Still lumpy.
It's long since been the vision of Hollywood.
Come and get it.
Robots and humans side by side,
Real stuff. Just for cooking purposes.
sometimes making things worse, sometimes better.
You want a cup of joe with juice?
Oh, yes, thank you.
But now, in the suburbs not far from Tinseltown, the dream of an AI restaurant is already cooking. It's called Cali Express in the heart of Pasadena.
Is this the first time we've seen all this technology in one place?
Absolutely.
Vic Golick is in charge of the newest business on the block, a burger joint which brings a bunch of food-making robots into one cafe.
For this burger, it would take about 120 seconds.
There's a grill robot by Kachina and Flippy by Miso Robotics frying everything else. No human chefs needed.
We can't get enough people to come out to work on fryers and grills, and they're dangerous jobs. And this automation helps solve a lot of those issues that we're having.
But inventors say the use of these robots isn't a true technology takeover. It's intended to help humans.
I love the way, and I think a lot about how technology can work with people to make people's lives better.
Rob Anderson is a co-founder of Miso Robotics.
Hey, robots don't get tired either. You know what I mean? They can keep going until something happens to the machine. That's the only time. But other than that, they don't need breaks. They can just crank out burgers and fries all day long.
Robotics, which started working on Flippy, the fry maker, 6 years ago.
I mean, this is your baby.
Yeah? Oh, it's super cool.
The machine is already at work in some restaurants like White Castle and Jack in the Box.
Flippy's really good at doing repetitive tasks, which is just operating the fryer in those dangerous environments. And that way the people who work in the restaurant can focus on those human elements.
Is it costing people their jobs?
That's not what we've seen. It's really here to help people.
Flippy
He didn't sound too convincing.
can make 250 pounds of French fries an hour. The Burger Bot, 100 patties, all without needing a break or a day off like its human counterparts.
See?
These restaurants are very, very busy at peak times, and every second that gets added to somebody waiting in the drive-thru is a lost revenue opportunity for that restaurant.
But it's not just tech chefs.
A cheeseburger.
The ordering system is powered by artificial intelligence too, using facial recognition software.
I don't want things looking at my face or getting my fingerprints. Like, should I be scared of these things?
We don't think
Yes.
so. So we're very clear on the point that we're not doing any kind of surveillance. Every single time our cameras are going live and recognizing the user in the US, you're always tapping a button or you're asking somebody to scan your face.
And there will be humans here too, putting the finishing touches on your meal. But Cali Express plans on only staffing 2 back-of-the-house employees, a fraction of what it would take to run a non-automated kitchen.
This is the start of a revolution that's happening on the restaurant side.
Dan Ives is an analyst for Wedbush Securities. Statistics show that 62% of restaurants report being understaffed, and 82% of restaurant jobs could be handled by robotics.
We expect by 2025 that we're probably going to have 100 to 200 restaurants that'll be primarily AI focused.
And in a state
That's
where
a
the minimum
lot.
wage for most fast food workers will soon be $20 an hour, less people to pay can be a bonus for businesses.
Once the minimum wage went to 20, that's the bell going off. More and more focus on spending on AI. Because look, that's inflationary. That's the problem. You can't necessarily pass all that to the consumer.
It does reduce some jobs, but there's so many more jobs that are created with the technology as well as maintaining this technology.
In fact, these robots at Cali Express are rented as technicians watch Flippy all the time through cameras.
Truth is, I can't get my phone to work probably half the time.
Yeah.
What happens if Flippy flips out?
If for any reason Flippy's not working, they can kind of flip the barrier up and just cook manually as they would normally.
And as for taste,
Is it going to affect the quality and the taste?
But who's gonna cook it if you don't have no employees, no workers?
I would say yes, in a good way, because now each burger is being cooked precisely the same way every time.
only time will tell whether robots take over all kitchens. But watching the first of its kind come to life is a tasty technical treat and another AI debate worth chewing on. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Joy Benedict, Pasadena, California.
So many questions. Yes, yes. It's like
I'd try it, for real, I'd try it.
I feel like we're like the frogs in that that pot of boiling water, the slow simmer, and before we know it,
Wow.
we're gonna be there.
I'm back in the coffin now.
I am just like the number of jobs that this has the potential to wipe out
There
for
is a
entry level
mix.
positions.
I don't disagree, but there's also the mix of there's a lot of entry level jobs they're not getting people for. So if there's a balance where you can use these in some of those jobs and you can train workers in other jobs, that would be a good